Alright, welcome to SouFLoTV again, everybody. It's your host with the most. As you know now that this whole Vybz Kartel appeal thing with Sean Storm and the rest of the fellas, this here is hot topic, right? Side note for a little bit. Remember I said that this would be the perfect time for Mavado to land in Jamaica. Nobody wouldn't even pay him much mind because something else is more pressing right now. By the way, what's going on with Mavado's son? Is he still incarcerated? Is Mavado still overseas? Are the police still pressing for him to come back to Jamaica? If you know anything about that, answer that in the comment section. But what we come to talk about right now, lawyers insist that Vybz Kartel was not present when Lizard was killed. So Vybz Kartel was not present when Clive Lizard was murdered. His attorney is insisting during the appeal case. And of course, it's his attorney's job to insist that her client was not present, right, while someone is being murdered, given the fact that he is on a murder trial. Common sense. But there are so many pieces of information here that do not add up. Honestly, in my personal opinion, I just think that the whole case blown out already. Big holes are in it that I don't see any way that the prosecution are going to be able to patch these holes up. But however, I'm going to go off of what's out there and not what I personally feel. So, Vybz Kartel's lead attorney Valerie Nita Robertson told the appeal court on Wednesday, July 18th that the world boss DJ could not have been at a Havendale St. Andrew house where Clive Lizard Williams was allegedly being killed, because Kartel was at the corporate area hospital when the alleged murder was committed. During the appeal case hearing, the lawyer stated that the dancehall entertainer arrived at the corporate area hospital. Now people, them have actual proof, time checked in with doctor, seen by someone at this specific time, documented. I know people are going to still try to argue this away, but there are so many things in this case that still has me questioning, like, why had all this not come to light before? And the issue is that judge that was overseeing the case made sure that he omitted or barred all these types of evidence from entering, right? So, again, she's saying that her client could not have been there because at that time, there's documented proof that the entertainer arrived at the corporate area hospital at 7:48 p.m. on the same day as the alleged incident. Alleged, because nobody still don't know if him dead yet, and there has still been no proof that he was murdered in the house or location that they're claiming he was. Walk with me so far? It would mean that Mr. Palmer would not be at the house when this thing, the murder, happened. The Queen's Counsel told the court the attorneys argued that this information challenges the accuracy of cell tower information that was used during the entertainer's 2014 murder trial. Alright. So, here we have a discrepancy. They have documented proof of what time he was at the hospital, and it does not match up to the cell tower information that was used during his trial in 2014. Somebody made up something and made it fit conveniently. Police Inspector Warren Williams, who heads the police cybercrime unit, had given evidence that cell tower information placed Kartel at the Havendale house at 7:52 p.m. Now I want to know, because is this police a techie? Does this police work with Digicel or whoever else is the carrier and has privy information to this cell phone tower information? Because this is not just readily information, right? You have to do a bit of digging to get this. So I want to know where he got this from. But anyhow, what he presented at court at the time last year at the trial, at the trial in 2014, he said at 7:52, Kartel's cell phone puts him at the house. His attorney is saying no, he could not have been there because at 7:48 he was at the hospital. However, Nita Robinson cited evidence from the main prosecution witness also that he arrived at the house at 8 p.m. and that after the events he witnessed at the house, he personally took Kartel to the hospital close to 9 p.m. This is what the prosecution's witness is saying, you know. Now, mind you again, must I remind you that it is documented at the hospital that Mr. Palmer checked in at the hospital at 7:48 p.m. So here you have the key witness to the prosecution saying that him see a bag of thing going at the house, and after all that went down, it was about 9 o'clock that he took Kartel to the hospital. Kartel, whose real name is Adidja Palmer, was convicted in 2014, as we all know, along with his protege Sean Storm, real name Sean Campbell, and Kahira Jones and Andre St. John, for the killing of Clive Williams, aka Lizard. They were all given a mandatory life sentence, right? And they're supposed to serve out all this time. But here we stand at the Court of Appeals because they have been granted appeal and they are fighting for their freedom once again. And I must admit, this is very compelling now on behalf of the defense, because there are big holes being blown. There are shotgun size holes being blown in this case right now. So, a little side note. Someone said, SouFlo, where is Mr. Finson? Tom Tavares Finson. Big high power Tom Tavares Finson. Where is he now? How come he's not showing his face more regularly? How come he's not the one that's out in the forefront like how he was in 2014 at the trial? Well, I don't work with Mr. Finson, I don't work with any of the lawyers, but I can make a wild guess that all the attorneys are working together that represent this team of men, right? And what they're doing is they're putting a fresh face to the whole thing. Because remember, I know, under Mr. Tom Tavares Finson and his son, the case, they failed. And I remember specifically Tom Tavares Finson saying something to the effect of, we can't believe it. It is not that we were prepared. It is that we had so much that we could have put forward. Because we over here, looking in from the outside, we were saying, well, damn, I wouldn't want a lawyer like that because I don't think he was aggressive enough in defending his client's freedom. I mean, you have a high profile client here and you have all this information to free the client, but you went in there willy-nilly, came out every day, spoke to the media as if it's all going well, and bam, we got hit with guilty verdict and then life sentence. It was quite shocking. And I remember Mr. Finson saying they're shocked because they did not push as hard as they could have, because half of what they heard in there made no sense to them, and they did not and could not still believe that Judge Burt Reynolds actually went through with that verdict, given everything that went down in that courtroom. So I think right now, to answer that question, where is Mr. Tom Tavares Finson and how come he's not out front leading, I think it's because they're putting a fresh face on this whole thing. Now remember, you see this main prosecution witness, the one that is saying that he dropped Kartel, he stayed at the house in Havendale, he saw the beatings, and after all that stuff that took place, he dropped Kartel personally to the hospital. That same witness also talked about how he was coerced. He also talked about how he was threatened, and he also talked about the conditions in which they had him in order to get him to say certain things that he said. So I cannot help but to think that this is where his information is coming from. So they told him what to say basically, and now it's not adding up, because there is no way they can go back in time and change the time of the date which was documented in the system from back then. From back then, it says that the specific time that Vybz Kartel checked into the hospital is roughly 2 hours before the time that this prosecution witness is claiming that he personally dropped Vybz Kartel to the hospital. On top of this and the cell phone evidence, the towers, putting Clive Lizard Williams' phone in another city at the same time when they're claiming that he was at this house being murdered, this leaves a lot of room for doubt. A lot of room for doubt. And all the defense has to do is to put so much doubt on this case that it will either be thrown out or a retrial will be ordered. I think there was such flagrant miscarriage of justice in this case that I would not be surprised if it's just thrown out altogether. Now, for the people them who say, yeah man, if I did your brother, you would have said something different. Listen, I'm not going off of feelings. I'm going off of what we can all see. Justice is not locking up the wrong person. Justice is investigating a case properly, finding out who did what, and then penalizing who needs to be penalized. Not just grabbing somebody high profile and stick it to them, right? And they owe Lizard that justice. Leave your comment in the comment sections. Let me hear what you got to say about this one. It's SouFLoTV, man. I'm up out of here. Peace.